Yo, this is gonna be a video where I go through boss by boss in ICC, explaining some things that I do and some things I have figured out during our PTR testing. It's not gonna be a very fancy video, no super fancy editing or anything like that. Basically it's gonna be me talking over the footage I have. I will probably be rambling on quite a bit, so it's gonna be a long video. And this is of course gonna be also with our strategies we use. Might not be the strat you end up using, so some of this might not help you in your guild, but it's gonna be like basic Paladin tips and tricks. Yep. So we start out with Lord Marrowgar. Here we opted to use beacon on one of each tanks, and basically it's my job to keep up DJ Pala here. So you will see me spamming heals on everyone and like overhealing a lot, because all that really matters for me is to keep up DJ Pala. So you don't wanna be stop casting to prevent overhealing. The fight is short enough that you can just be spamming out heals. And there's also sort of natural points where you can use Divine Plea without much issues. So what we do here, everyone standing in melee to free people from these impales instantly. I know there's a tactic where you stand out with ranged, so to bait the fires better. But we found that it was more important to get people out insta from the impales to minimize like DPS downtime. And also here, when it comes to healing, like the biggest pain points aren't really the impales or the impale targets, because once people are impaled, they stop taking damage from any fire. Like even if the fire is right under them in an impale, they will only be taking impale damage. And impale damage is way less than the fire damage if you pay attention to the rate frames. So I actually prefer to not prio the impale targets. It's always the people who are taking damage from the fire. Since we play it kinda risky here with everyone having to move at the same time if we're stacked, it's very important to have the entire raid move instantly, but also be able to heal people fast if they take an extra tick or two, since they might die with our gear levels. And here you can see me getting impaled, which also means that my tank DJ Pala is not gonna get healed by me. So what we do is that we call out for pain suppression whenever a Paladin gets impaled. I call it out and that DJ Pala needs a pain sup. If it was Bray, it would be the DK Paladin that needed the pain sup. So that's like our way of saving a impale on a healer, which like tank decks are very easily. I think that can wipe the raid here. Other than that, there's not really that much about this fight. Yeah, there is this. I forgot to say it, but this fire that's on the ground, that's actually frost damage. So you should be in frost res aura to reduce that damage. So yeah, Lady Deathwhisper. It's not really that healing intensive of a fight. It's 100% about avoiding the Spirit Ghost in phase 2 and doing whatever you can to mitigate eventual 2 shots, like from if you get a double spirit blowing up, or if you need healing after a frostbolt volley before a spirit blows up. There are some pain points, like if you have frostbolt volley right before or during the spirits. That's where we have assigned our D-Sacks, and we also have AMs for some of them. Oh yeah, you have the curse here, so you stop casting your Holy Light so you don't get locked out from Holy Light for 15 seconds. use a weak aura or use DBM to warn you about it. And hopefully your shaman or the curses can get your curse off fast enough. One thing to notice here in phase 2, the spirits, when they explode, they don't deal shadow damage. So there's no point to aura mastery shadow. So that's why I'm sitting in Frostress and aura mastering Frostbolt Volley only. The spell school for the spirits is Shadow Frost, which means basically that it will do damage equal, like the damage is not reduced by your resistance. If you have high Shadow Rest and low Frost Rest, it will always take the lowest rest of the two spell schools. So to reduce damage from spirits, you would need to have like AM Shadow Rest and AM Frost Rest at the same time, which is not that good to use 2 aura masteries for one set of spirits. So we opt to use Frost Rest aura instead, and aura mastery important overlaps with Frostbolt Volley and spirits. And yeah, all of these, you can see the MRT note in the top left and the weak aura telling me when it's my turn to use my red CD. All of those are gonna be on my Discord, of course, and they are based off the cast. So there's no like if you push the boss 1 minute faster or slower, they will still be showing up at the correct time. But yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of damage coming out sometimes. Like there overlaps with the File Spirits, Frostbolt Volleys. If you actually look at the damage breakdown, what damage you take, by far the most damage you take is from Frostbolt Volley. So that's why it's really nice to, like for this Frostbolt Volley 5, we opt to not use anything. Sadly, we have an old spirit like that's been up for like 5 seconds that explodes. But usually it's the number 3 volley that is the most scary, that happens like right after a spawn, so that's like overlapping very, very badly. So that's when we use these like NAM. But yeah, as you can see, there's not much going on. I get the curse, you stop casting, wait for the spell, then keep casting. And Gunship, I'm gonna be skipping Gunship. It's a very easy fight. You don't really have anything to do as a healer unless you're doing like me. You never have to jump over to other ship if you're healing. You can simply stand on the edge, watch out for the fire on the ground and simply heal. Yeah, there's not much else to say. There are some tips and tricks for the entire raid, how to prevent these ice blocks on the turrets, but yeah, you distract the mage basically. But I think Take Note is making a video that gonna go through the bosses more like in a wider sense, not a whole Paladin POV. So I'd suggest watching that. So we come to Saurfang, and the first thing you might notice is that we're standing in melee, or at least I am. I know a lot of people prefer to stand in ranged because they don't want to get hit by the blood beasts. We have quite a good coordination with stuns and knockbacks and good DPS on the blood beasts, so for me threat was never an issue with the built-in Holy Paladin threat reduction, and we have also deacons assigned to everything to taunt them whenever they are on people they shouldn't be. And the stuns and the knockbacks throughout the fight is good enough there. Because I do prefer standing in melee on most bosses, simply for the chance to regen mana. a different way than simply using Divine Plea or relying on innervates. Even though I know on this fight we don't end up using all innervates correctly. But yeah, hitting the boss is so nice for mana. But yeah, this fight mostly is about energy management on the boss. Like you wanna have the boss get as little energy as possible. So what we're doing is that we're bopping off these boiling blood on people, because every tick of damage gives the boss energy. So we have a rotation where we are bopping one player each every boiling blood wave. We found out that if you bop all 3 targets, he will simply recast boiling blood. At least that was true for our first BTR session. We haven't really tried it again after that, if that was some bug or something. And all the damage on this fight is physical. So the boiling blood is physical, the mark is physical, obviously the boss is sitting for physical damage. And all of these things are reduced by armor. So we are sitting, me and Bray with Aura Mastery are sitting in Devour, and we are popping Devour Aura Mastery to reduce damage taken, as well as using Divine Sack. All of this reduces the damage taken. Other than that, it's simply assigning who to heal what mark. So what we're doing is that I am taking care of the first mark and the third mark. And the way I'm doing it is that I'm beaconing the first mark, keeping healing the tank. Once the third mark goes out, the other healers know that I won't be healing the tank anymore. I will be full focus on my 2 marks. And when the fourth mark is out, it's Bray using his beacon on number 2 and healing number 4. And since the damage taken is physical, some targets take a lot more damage than others. For example, here I have a shaman I'm taking care of, and that's probably one of the scariest targets for me to heal. You can see his health is dipping real low here whenever Saurfang is high energy. So what you need to know also about this fight is that the damage ramps up a lot when he's gaining energy. So at high energy, you don't want to be wasting a single GCD not on Holy Light. So that means you have to take care of all your globals you need to do. You need to judge, you need to beacon, you need to Sacred Shield, you need to be high mana. You don't want to be down playing at high energy. All of those globals needs to be done like before his 50 energy. So you need to be on point with that really. Because as you can see, if I spend a global here, it's very likely that one of my marks die. Yeah, if I, for example, didn't have a global here for heal, the cope would have died, and sadly it's an insta wipe if you let your mark die. So you have to be really on point here. This is probably one of the more scarier fights as a healer. Maybe probably the scariest fight, because yeah, if you fail your assignment, it's a wipe. So Rotface, not that interesting of a fight as a healer. You standing melee range, you spam heal, you focus heal the people who get the disease. Disease people take 75 reduced healing done, so you really need to be over healing them, especially later on in the fight when there's a lot of going on in terms of explosions. There might be vile gas, there might be multiple oozes around. But yeah, you never ever want to be dispelling the disease early, because if you dispel the disease, he will cast the next disease even faster, and it will be like a chain reaction where you get more and more diseases more and more often. So you always want to have the disease time out. So it's up to the DPS or to the affected player to know where to go. Sadly, in this pool it seems like we have the big ooze being attacked by Arm of the Dead. So we are taking a lot of extra damage here. Generally, you don't want to be standing next to the big ooze, since it does an AoE taking damage. And you can see here I'm hard focusing the disease. You don't want to be standing next to the big ooze. So that means if you get a debuff, or if someone else gets a debuff, they shouldn't move out instantly and stand next to the big ooze and wait for a debuff to tick down from 8 seconds or whatever. They want to be moving out if you're a melee player, maybe you want to stay in a bit, but you want to be moving out so you're next to the big ooze and only taking like 1 tick or 2 ticks of the big ooze damage at the last second of your debuff. That reduces the healing you need to take and the risk of dying. But yeah, hard focused diseases. Here you can see me, you can freedom this. Poison on the ground leaves a debuff that slows you and does damage. So you can freedom that and they can move out more easily. Not really that much to say. When the explosion happens here, what you do before the explosion, like here we are getting called on the on voice that the big ooze is gonna explode soon. So I'm looking around where there is a clear place to me to be running to, because these oozes that come flying through the air are gonna go and land on people where they are standing at the end of the cast. Not start of the cast, end of the cast, that's important. So whenever the cast is finished, that's where you go to a position where there has been no player before. And you can be sure that you won't be getting hit by the flying thingies. So these go out. I know there's a tactic where you, as a melee and a tank, they simply switch the legs. Sadly we don't use that. I think it would have been easier for me personally. But this is fine. The boss is so easy, so you shouldn't really worry about it. Slime spray. Yeah, we have divine sacks are assigned to the slime sprays to avoid overlaps like damage from slime spray and the disease, something like that. So we try to use it for every slime spray except one. You free them there. Yeah, most of the damage on this boss is like nature and shadow. You can see here how I do it. Like I'm not going into the big ooze until the last second. I even go into the small ooze. Most of the damage on Rotface is shadow nature damage. So that means your shadow res or mastery is not gonna be doing anything. As I said before on Lady Deathwhisper, that when you have a spell that's 2 spell schools, Shadow Frost or Shadow Nature, you take damage based on your lowest res. So in this case we have, I do believe we have Nature res aura, I hope. I don't see it in my buffs though. We have Nature res aura, so that means that's gonna be the lowest res we have. If we ever decide to use Aura Mastery Shadow res. So there's no point using Aura Masteries for anything on this fight. So Festergut, this is a DPS race for us. We wanna beat the second Pungent Blight. Pungent Blight even. But it's quite an easy DPS check to make, even with our huge C gear and no ICC gear. Standing in ranged, me and other Paladins, they assigned stack up markers for these gas spores. So it means we don't have to move, so we can just be spamming out heals for the tank. The tank damage ramps up here, so at the start you're not really worried that much about tanks dying. It's mostly later on in the fight where you need to be pumping out those heals for the tanks so they don't die. Other than that, this fight is not one of those fights where you have double schooled spells like on Festergut or Lady Deathwhisper. Most of the spells on this fight is shadow damage. So your aura masteries do work, and we do have them assigned for the gas spore damage and Pungent Blight also with my DSAC. But yeah, nothing much to say. You spam heal tanks. Of course you have to be careful about looking out for goo. The goo, maybe you can see it, actually was perfectly behind this thing, but I didn't get hit. But the goo, whenever it spawns, as you can see down here to the left of my Rotface, this is the spell effect you look out for. So if you have a weak aura or DBM telling you that there's a goo going out, you quickly look below your feet. Do we have one of these green thingies? And need to move, or am I safe? So you don't need to be looking at the actual goo flying in. That can probably be bad to be doing even, like when it looks like it's going for you. So always look at the instant of the cast to see if you can see the green thing on the ground. This is my D-Sack mostly for Bungeon Blind. Everyone has 3 stacks. If someone doesn't have 3 stacks, the Paladin that's using Divine Sack and Bubble, and then D-Sack without cancelling, and then D-Sack if there's someone outside of the party that needs extra damage reduced. But with Divine Sack and Shadow Res Aura almost free, most people should be fine. Yeah, there is not that much to talk about on this boss. Next boss, Professur Putricide. Not that hard healing wise, but it's quite a complicated fight when it comes to mechanics, and having a good raid would definitely make this a lot easier to heal when people not know what to do. Yeah, as a paladin you don't really have that much to do. The most important thing I would say is to be ready for phase 3. Like you want to be entering phase 3 when the actual tank damage is going out, and when there's a big chance of like if you fail then the raid is wiping. So you need to be having every single CDs remaining and high mana. You don't want to be struggling for mana last phase. Yeah, when the green slime goes out, be ready to heal melee. These intermissions we have assigned D-Sacks for the green explosions. So that's one of the pain points I would say. Like if we don't have enough people soaking, simply reduce that damage. But you can see with pets and all of those, there's not that much damage going out. Mostly about being aware of your surroundings. Be ready to be kiting the orange slime if you get it. Yeah, the orange slime, that might be good to know. The orange slime, when it focuses someone, it deals most of the damage is starting out the first seconds of the soak. Like yeah, you can see our lock here has 10 stacks. That's basically correlates to the damage taken he will take. So the first tick is like half his health, so you need to be careful and ready to heal him. It's ticking for a lot during the start of the fixate, but now he's taking very little damage when it's starting to be the end of this fixate. So that's what you need to be careful about whenever the orange one is target swapping. Now our lock is gonna be taking damage, so we need to be careful and ready to heal. Yep, phase 2, basically like phase 1, but you have vile gas being put out near the boss, and obviously malleable goo going out. So, and the thing about malleable goo on this fight is that you don't get the texture on the floor, so you need to be careful. But also the malleable goo can only go out onto people. So if you can pre-scout, determine your position where you want to go after a goo, you don't have to worry about. That was kind of bad. You don't have to worry about looking at the goo really. You can just move, start healing, but be sure to walk far enough away from them to avoid damage taken. Like you get the cast speed slow from the goo if you're hit straight on, but you can get hit and take damage without getting the debuff if you are like 10-15 yards away. So you have to be wary about running far enough away. Yeah, the vile gas is in melee, so that shouldn't ever be a problem for you. Whenever there's a green ooze going out, fixating, you also want to be careful about your positioning. Like you don't want to be too close to it. And also, if you are not moving in to soak the green slime, you have to be careful so that you're not standing like 15 yards away, so that you are close to the ooze but not getting knocked away. Because that means if everyone gets knocked away and then it explodes and then it goes and fixates you, you're gonna be way closer to the ooze than anyone else. So either you soak the ooze to get knocked away, or you keep your distance to where we're soaking it and be ready for the next fixate. Yeah, if you can be kiting the gas cloud into melee so they can easily swap to it. Yeah, if you might have noticed, the Unbound Plague is being dealt by with a hero Residruid trying to take it every time and then just dying with Soulstone up. Another intermission, nothing different from the first intermission. Same thing. Heal the orange one fast. Keep the raid healthy so they don't die from the green explosion. Oh, I think here we actually played the Unbound Plague. And the second DSAC for the explosion. Everyone is available. Everyone is paying attention to the orange slime. So here what we're doing is we're kiting the first application. So what is dangerous on Lost Phase is the tank debuff. The tank debuff is doing AoE damage to the entire raid, depending on how many stacks it is. If the tank has 1 or 2 stacks, it's like you don't even notice damage. 3 stacks is where people start taking damage, and 4 stacks you need to be killing the boss. So what we do is that we bop a DK, he taunts the boss to grab a stack, and then later on we have a warrior also taunting with bop and taking a stack, basically prolonging the fight. Because yeah, if you get all of those stacks on a tank, the raid damage is unhealable. And here you don't want to be healing anything other than the tanks. Like if the tanks die, the raid, you won't kill the boss. So beacon one tank, spam heal the other tank. Try to not be using useless globals. Like every global should be a holy light whenever there's like 2 more stacks on the tanks. And what we do here also is that you can use Shadow Res Aura. The damage taken, the raid-wide damage taken is shadow damage. So you can you can aura mastery that. And of course Divine Sax can be used to reduce damage taken, not only by the raid but also by the tanks. But yeah, this last phase is definitely a race against the debuffs, and managing the debuffs with DPS taunting off. Of course, you're still avoiding goo, so you need to be good positioning yourself with the raid group, or however your strat is. Yeah, there's nothing much else to say other than yeah, know the fight, know the mechanics. Not gonna go through those in this video. This is simply the Holy Paladin POV. So the next boss we do is the Blood Council. Very important to have good positioning here. You can see me, I'm standing out of range of everyone in the raid, which some might say is a bad positioning, but all I care about here is having one target that I can heal, to beacon heal my tank. And I'm making it as easy as possible for our DPS to spread out for the empowered shock vortex. Like, this positioning is something you can do as a paladin, take advantage of the beacon. Yep, so the 3 bosses are getting empowered randomly. The most important thing is, I would say, is to keep the tanks alive. So your goal as a paladin here is basically to keep up tanks. That's all you need to worry about. You have 3 other healers that's gonna be taking care of the raid. And there is not that much raid damage going out if they're playing properly. You can help with some dispels on the fire debuff, but you should also be mass dispelling that. So yeah, when the shadow boss is active, you have to be paying very close attention to your tank. If he has a lot of debuffs, that means he's taking less damage. But if for some reason the nucleus are dying or he doesn't have aggro on them, you need to be using CDs on him or be very on point with the healing. But as you can see, the other tank is also taking a lot of damage at the same time, since he's tanking both of the other mobs. And as you can see, like when you start the fight, I start the fight on the very edge. When the empowered shock vortex boss is done, you're free to move into the middle, because you know that the next 2 bosses are gonna be either the flame boss, where you wanna be stacking up, or it's gonna be the shadow boss, where it doesn't really matter. So pre-position yourself in the middle so you don't have to move. You wanna minimize movement because of the shadow buff, of course, but also you wanna be able to pump out heals as much as possible. Here we are using Fire SR from the Paladin tank, because there's the fire damage from the debuff, and obviously this damage. This damage isn't that big, it's mostly about the fire debuff damage, which we must spell. But we also use Shadow Res and Aura Mastery. Most of the damage taken on this fight is actually from the debuff. So whenever you're having a lot of movement, like if the boss is moving or if the boss are swapping and the melee has to move a lot, then you can Shadow Res Aura Mastery, and people will be taking a lot less damage from their stacks. Other than that, there's not that much to do as a paladin. Your goal, as is said, to keep up the tanks. And of course make the life easier for your fellow DPS. Like, you can be the one taking the positions that are far away for the empowered shock vortex. This is actually a fight that's kinda RNG, kinda hard. Like most other fights, you kinda learn and you kinda get them under control. But this is a fight where you can, even after doing it many times, you still can't always get it done without deaths, for example. Blood Queen. What is there to say about Blood Queen? In Nepal here actually. Yeah, you have a beacon on each tank. Tank's healing is not that intensive. It's mostly about DPS, not fucking up their bites and meeting the DPS check. Yeah, you heal the dark pack going out. You heal people who get the shadow flames that are running out with, because sometimes they like to be taking damage from the flames they're putting out. Spread out, obviously. You're not gonna get much value from Soul Preserver when you heal ranged, so heal melee if you can. Well, there is... What is there to say? Yeah, we have these hacks. We actually use 2 these hacks every blood, like air phase intermission, so we can cover the entire room. So the Prot Paladin is using, in my case, the first air phase, and I'm using it in the back of the room. While on the second air phase there's the Red Paladin and Bray. Yeah, you can also be using Shadow Res Aura for the Blood Bolt air phase. That's probably gonna be the moment where you need to be the most careful. Like, use your Hellstone, use your personal CDs, and be on point with healing. Because if people are not spreading out for some reason and splashing each other, they can be taking a lot of damage, like from double splash. We also, for the first air phase, it's very important that actually early on in the fight, it's very important that no bite dies. If someone with a bite debuff dies, it's basically a wipe, because early on, the way it works, it's like you bite one guy and the other guy bites another guy and you bite another guy, so it's like it's adding up quite fast. If you lose a bite early on, that you will be losing a lot of extra damage on the boss. So what we do here is we bop the targets that are getting bit, so they don't take any damage from the actual bite, because the bite damage and a random shadow bolt has killed people before. And yeah, the boss is gaining stacks with every bite, and that basically means the boss is doing more AoE damage for the entire raid. So at the end of the fight, she will be dealing a lot more damage, so you want to be having some defensive, like Armor 3 D-Sack for the end of the fight. And of course, you don't want to be having 0 mana. You need to have some mana for the end of the fight. That's the most important part. Even though early on in the fight, it's more important to keep people alive with the bite, of course. Yeah, there is not that much to talk about here. Keep healing, spread out nicely. Try to have the same position every time, so your raid kinda learns where to move, where to not move, where it's crowded or not. I use Divine Protection here, in case I get some brain damage taken. Divine, oh yeah. Yeah, and as you're killing the boss faster and faster with more and more bite debuffs, you can Divine Sack these bites. I'm standing quite in a poor placement, so I'm not reaching everyone. But any damage you can reduce is nice. And Armor 3 is nice for the AoE taking damage here. No one should be dying here, because a lot of people are healing themselves with the bite as well. Yeah, basically our DPS race here. Even though we have one guy dying, we are easily making the berserk. So the boss you have all been waiting for, Dreamwalker. Important on this boss is that you want to be maximizing your healing output. You don't care anything about your mana. So you can be swapping your trinkets, you can be swapping your glyphs. So what I'm doing is I'm using Flask with Spell Power Flask. I'm using trinkets, is using the Badge Trinket and Solace, simply for the spell power and the unused spell power from the Badge Trinket. I'm using Glyph of Seal of Light. I use Seal of Light instead. And yeah, basically the point of this boss is to grab as many buffs as you can and heal up the boss, of course. There's been talk about using a red spec with Cheeto Light. I don't recommend that really. Not if you're killing the boss like we are killing it. The red Cheeto Light spec is really OP if you're getting a lot of healing stacks. Like if you're fighting this boss for 5-6 portals, so you're getting like 30 stacks or something, that's when the red double dipping is insane. But as you can see, or as you will see in this fight, or in this video, we are not fighting this boss for very long with our healing output. So yeah, I'm flying into this place to get my pre-assigned position to the left of the room, so we don't have to be doing much movement. Grab as many buffs as you can. Ideally you want to getting 6 to 8 stacks per portal. What if you saw also that you can use Crusader Aura and Aura Master it, and you will be flying a lot faster inside the portal room and grabbing as many buffs as possible. What you can do here, as you can see, we are 8 healers here, going all as a group, so we can all get a debuff. But what you can and should do, what we did later on, is that you have a Resto Druid, for example, or a Druid, going the other way and picking up orbs that we will not be reaching. Like usually you come and you reach like 3/4 of the room, and these orbs are never soaked. But the thing is about these orbs is that they deal damage to Dreamwalker. They tick for 8k damage throughout the fight. So an orb that's unsoaked can be dealing up to 500k to 1,000,000 damage, depending on how long the fight is. Like for us, one orb did 400k damage, but that's also because we have a really fast fight. So if you can soak those, that's a lot of less healing needing to be done. But yeah, we're soaking these, and what you're gonna see is that we only go 2 portals. After this, we are gonna be sending it. And important, if you didn't notice, is that before I enter this portal here, you wanna be refreshing your beacon, you wanna be refreshing your Judgment of Light, because you're not gonna be casting those 2 globals again. The only thing you will be casting from here on is Holy Light spam. You don't want to be wasting globals on non-healing globals. So yeah, we take all these orbs. How many stacks do I end up at? Is 16 or something? 15 stacks. So we have 15 stacks, some people have 17 stacks, 16. But yeah, you send the Bloodlust here. As you can see, I am not using my wings yet. I can see that the Guardian Spirit is not up for 20 more seconds, and my healing debuff is for 30 more seconds. So I am in no hurry to use my wings. I can use wings when there's 20 seconds remaining on my buff, and the entire buff will have my wings, which is what's important. But by waiting with using my wings, I get more uptime of my wings during Guardian Spirit. So I should be using my wings soon here. Yeah, I use my wings here. And what I use is a Swifty one-shot macro with wings and a trinket and a potion of wild magic. So you have all of those running at the same time, as you have Bloodlust, as you have wings, as you have big healing buffs. And as you can see on the healing meters, we're pumping out a lot of healing here. And yeah, we are healing a Tenacity pet. Little gorilla is helping us heal the boss. The pet has 40% healing increased taken, but as you can see, my beacons are not healing for the same amount as the 40% increased Holy Light. So the transfer to beacon is not affected by the healing increase from the pet. But what's important here is that you have your Glyph of Holy Light. So your Glyph of Holy Light is doing 10% of your Holy Light in healing. So any increase of Holy Light healing will increase Glyph of Holy Light as well. But there is also a double lip with Glyph of Holy Light, so in reality you're doing 30%, 40% of your Glyph, 40% of your Holy Light is Glyph healing, which is really insane. which is why we use the pet. But yeah, spam heal, still have judgment, still have a beacon, don't need to press those. And the boss is healed. And the boss fight was 2 minutes and 40 seconds-ish long. So that's the optimal way to do Dreamwalker. Sindragosa. You can see by my weak aura. Resist enchant on wrist. Very nice to have some extra frost resistance if you can get it. I use the frost resistant enchant on the wrist, and in phase 3 I swapped to a flask for resistance as well. Yeah, this boss is can be fun and can be very boring depending on RNG with the magic debuff. If you get the magic debuff, yeah, you have a strat that you're following what you want to do, but most of the time you will be doing no healing basically with the debuff up. Important things in phase 1, yeah, have your D-Sack rotation for every Blistering Cold, have D-Sacks for the Frost Beacons, don't be casting abilities like here for example. I know I'm gonna be stacking up soon behind the Ice Tombs, so I don't want to be casting in the spells to get a stack of Unchained Magic. I do get one because I'm assigned to Divine Sack here, but the damage is like there's no fear of dying at this point. What you do here, if you have been lucky enough to not get any Unchained Magic, and you have been spam healing the tank and spam healing the raid, you simply hit these Ice Tombs, and you should be you should be getting full mana every intermission or every air phase. We are using 3 people with Frostress Aura. That's mostly because we are ready to be using the Aura Mastery. Also the Prot Paladin is using Frostress Aura because he's most likely to be in range of the tank. While sometimes, as you can see here, Holy Paladins are running out and not actually in range of the tank sometimes. But yeah, the boss is very straightforward. Phase 1, phase 2. What I like to do here is that I really only heal 2 or 3 stacks, then I don't heal. And before every Blistering Cold I don't heal at all, because I don't want to be casting like Holy Shocks to extend, and it's not worth it in my opinion. Now the Blistering Cold was delayed a lot, so my Unchained Magic actually expires before the Blistering Cold almost. But yeah, I get it again. But yeah, you can see, you can be refreshing your Unchained Magic with Sacred Shield, with Holy Shock. You never want to be exploded in the raid. Do a couple of heals here. I saw that Air Fist is coming, so I don't want to be getting stacks. I want to be stacking up and be ready to move into Frost Beacon position if I get it. Here you can pre-heal people between the damage tick and before they are immune. If you don't have Unchained Magic, that is. But yeah, this is what it's gonna be like. Sometimes you get 0 Unchained Magics and you can do a lot of healing. Sometimes you get every single Unchained Magic and you're not gonna be doing a lot of healing. But yeah, phase 1, phase 2 is pretty straightforward. Gonna fast forward a bit until sub, I don't even know, 35%. So here, the most important thing in the last phase here is positioning. Like, you don't want to be taking mythic buffet stacks, so you need to be finding this positioning very fast and be very comfortable, so you can heal the tank while still avoiding the AoE from the boss. What I like to do is that I only stand on the left side or on the tank side. I don't go to the other tomb on the right side, because that's way too much movement, way way too hard to find the position where you want to be. Much easier if you decide on one side and only stand on that side. That also means that you're moving back and forth to the same position all the time. Yeah, assigning the D-Sacks, assigning the Aura Masteries to the Frost Beacons, because whenever there's a Frost Beacon landing, usually people are getting stacks because they're waiting for the Ice Doom to refresh their stacks. So that's a perfect opportunity to use your D-Sacks and Aura Masteries before they can reset their stacks. The stacks are basically increasing your damage taken from the Frost Aura. And as a Paladin, you can bubble off the debuff. So whenever you get a debuff in last phase, you should first of all not use your bubble before phase 3. So you have it available. And you don't want to be using wings before, like right before one of these goes out. So you don't have forbearance from it. But yeah, you saw me bubble that one. Here I'm getting Unchained Magic. Insta bubble, just continue healing. I liked also to keep the beacon on the same tank, depending on how often you tank swap. And whenever they're tank swapping, you're healing both tanks at the same time, depending on if there's like a late taunt, he has to move or something like that. So you're healing both tanks, even if you're gonna be overhealing one of them. And then once the new tank is established and you know it's gonna be tanking for a while, then you can swap the beacon to the new tank and start raid healing. There's also an issue sometimes with raid healing is that people are line of sighting you. So that's also why it's nice to sometimes direct heal the tank, especially during tank swaps, when you need to be like other healers might not be ready to heal fast enough. So you're basically the guy keeping the tank up while people are getting adjusted. So Lich King, as you can see by the note that we have, the MRT note, D6 and Aura Masters are very powerful here. So you're gonna be using those for lagged out in game. You wanna be using those for the infests. They are one of the main things to look out for in phase 1 and phase 2. And obviously the tank healing is insane at some points, so you have to be on point with that. As a Paladin, I am basically always healing the off tank with beacon on main tank. With occasional heals like here on the infests. But you have to be paying attention to the shambling horrors. If there's more than one up, then you definitely don't want to be spam healing in the raid. And if they're about to get enraged, you might get a hit in on the tank before they get stunned or dispelled. From the Holy Paladin POV here, it's a lot about the mana management. After doing the fight a lot of times, you kind of get into a groove of when you're using your CDs. So what I like to do is I start with my Algron Trinket, Arcane Turret at the start. We can go back to that. So what I like doing is starting off with using my Trinket together with Arcane Torrent to get that CD rolling. And once I've stacked up 20 stacks of my Trinket and I can see that my mana is not gonna be capped out, I use my Divine Plea early. I use it without wings because I want to be using wings later on with the Divine Plea. Actually, I probably ended up using wings on pull later on because we started using a bubble sack rotation on the tank in the phase 1. So yeah, that's changed for me personally. But yeah, it's very important to have your mana CDs rolling. This is a very mana intensive and healing intensive fight. I do take one innovator at the start, but I am not taking any more innovates. They are all reserved for our discs in this case. You want to be using Divine Illumination before you need to refresh your beacon. So ideally 20 seconds or 15 seconds remaining on your beacon, then you Divine Illumination. And you use your beacon refresh at the end of the Divine Illumination, because then it lines up better for the next time you Divine Illumination. So yeah, you refresh your beacon during Divine Illumination, spam heal the tanks. I can see there's a lot of things wrong right now with our auras, for example. We have me in Div aura, I'm not Imp Divo, so our Prot Paladin needs to go Divo, with his improved. I need to be going Shadow Res, Vedder needs to be going Shadow Res. But yeah, this is what happens when you are going straight into Lich King without wiping and without preparation. These things happen, but hopefully we fix them soon. So what we do here is that we have assignments for Bubble and Sack on the off tank. Once we get 2 Shambling Horrors, we notice that it's a lot less risk for a tank to be having a Sack running on him during the overlap. Reduce the amount of procs we got from the Ardent Defender. So I start with my Bubble D-Sack. Obviously my wings is now on cooldown, so I should be using wings on pull, because there's almost been 2 minutes. So I could get 1 more use of the wings. Yeah, follow the D-Sack rotation, follow the AM rotation. Use your mono regen, spam heal the off tank with beacon on main tank. And of course the usual strats of this boss fight is to avoid shadow traps, be in range of the Shambling Horrors so you don't stand too far away from them, so you can easily drop off the disease if you get it. Rantisak here. We're soon gonna be facing, so I need to be starting to move out closer and closer to the edge, so I don't do a lot of movement at the very end at the same time as everyone else. So I'm doing a bit of pre-moving here, while the rest of the healers are standing back a bit. So moving on, we get Infest right before transitions. It's kinda bad, but that's mostly because we had the Sheriff Piece DC'd for the start of the fight. So we get 1 more Infested than we usually do. Here I like to hold my beacon a bit. Simply because if I beacon later here, that means I can need to beacon later in phase 2. If I beacon insta here, I noticed that it overlapped very poorly with, I think it was Valkyrs and a lot of things going on at the same time. So beaconing later here, like not having beacon up for a while, kinda fixes that problem I ran into. You could also beacon twice, but I wanted to save as much mana as possible. As you can see, I'm already at 10k mana, but hopefully we can make it 10 more minutes. This intermission, nothing much going on. Watch out for the conal pain and suffering, so you don't stack it up on melee and yourself at the same time. So you're taking double cones. You want to be having 3 distinct groups. And yeah, you're playing a specific spec here with improved Hammer of Justice. So you can stun every single Valk wave here. And I'm assigned to the orange. Stun the orange. Pre-positioning yourself, you're ready in case the file comes on you. You definitely don't want me dropping that one. I guess that was kinda okay-ish defile, but yeah, if you can place it as far away as possible, always use your Nitro Boost for it. Spam heal the off tank, beacon on main tank. And there's not that much to say really. Hit the boss for mana whenever there is downtime. Like whenever Lich King is casting like channeling spells, he's not attacking the boss. So that's a good thing to know, like if you want to get a swing in for some mana. D-Sack here for the infest. Yeah, keep your mana CDs rolling, like Divine Plea on CD. Use your wings if you need to. Swing if you see the tank is using big CDs, like if he has Ice-Born Fortitude or something up, you can get in some swings on the boss. Currently, yeah, now it tonks up. Like, I find a lot scarier to be healing the Prot Paladin than the DK tank. Like, DK tank is barely taking damage from Soul Reaper, with Ice-Bound up. So you put Beacon on the DK tank instead. He's gonna be tanking, at least for us, he's gonna be tanking most of the fight. The fight is coming, ready to run. Here I'm hitting, you can see, you can hit these ones in the air. Because I saw that he was gonna have Pain Suppression on. So I knew he was gonna be totally fine. So I'm hitting these Valkyries in the air for a lot of mana. Instead of having to run behind the boss and then run back. It's like minimizing movement as much as possible. Not exactly sure what's going on with our D-Sacks. I think because of the extra infest in phase 1, cooldowns are kinda desynced. So the infests are hitting harder than they should, really. Stun the orange, pre-move out for Defile. And yeah, in this phase, when you only have one tank and you have a beacon on the main tank, you're free to spam heal the infests. But what you can see here, what I'm doing is, I'm not swapping my beacon. Basically it's a mana conservation thing, because I know that our Blood DK is gonna be tanking Lich King most of the time. Like our Prot Paladin basically took one Soul Reaper and then the DK tanked Taunted back. So that's why I didn't swap my beacon. It's just one less beacon for 10 seconds or 15 seconds is okay. And the transition 40.5% or something like that. Here you wanna be avoiding to take the Remorseless Winter damage. So you basically wanna be on the edge before that, and you can also pre-jump before the cast is done, like at less than 1 second. Because the platform is actually already built at that point. You do your stacking in groups. Once you have learned how to deal with the wild spirits and how to do the Frostmourne room, it's actually the phase 2 that's the hardest part. Because in phase 3 you no longer get the infests. So basically all your healing in phase 3 is the tanks. But I guess from a raid perspective, it's not that easy. So yeah, Quake, phase 3 starting. You don't have to be moving here, you can stand still. You're gonna get sucked in by the Harvest Soul in a few seconds. Most important thing here is that you don't let your tank die. While you're in the Frostmourne room, it's like almost like a downtime. Unless you're taking a lot of extra damage that you shouldn't be. This damage is not that bad. This is part where we chain some Aura Monsters. We're calling them out whenever we feel like we need them. We basically have all D-Stacks already assigned, so it's only my own D-Stack that's like free to be using in panic situations. But most of the time, this is like a downtime where you can use Divine Plea, you can refresh your Judgment of Light, or your Judgment of Pure, rather. And think about what's gonna happen next. Like now, the file is gonna come straight out of this, so you need to be pre-positioning yourself. And while he's casting, of course, tank is not taking damage. He's taking a lot of damage here, but soon he's gonna be casting the Vile Spirits, and that's also a point where you can be running or you don't have to be healing rather. So take full advantage of the Wild Spirit cast, of the Defile casts, of anything like that, to either regen mana or refresh your buffs that you need to have up. Because you do want to be healing, spam healing a tank all other times. And yeah, you need to be having also CD rotation on a tank for Soul Reapers here. But that's not really the Paladin job. Here I opted to use Beacon on the ad tank. Like, we are off tank the Raging Spirits far off. So that tank is gonna be out of range a lot of the time. So that's why I use Beacon on the ad tank, and then I single target Hololight the main tank. And you don't really want to be healing anyone else than those two targets. Another intermission, another Frostmourne phase. We like to desack when we're coming out of this place usually, so that the tanks are buffed with desack. For this, like, there's a lot of movement right here, while the off tank is taking damage and while there might be damage going out. So desack is nice for the exit and also for the entry to prevent some damage from the Harvest Soul. Our Shadow Priest is soaking. A lot of movement here. I would prefer to use Spirit of Sansa here, but we didn't pre-buff Spirit of Sansa in this run, so I only had one of them, which I used before, in start. And on Sindragosa you swap to Flask of Resistance, so that's where I lose it. Ideally you rebuff Spirit of Sansa for this boss, because movement, like this movement here, if you can reduce that as much as possible, it reduces the chance of your tank dying. And here, yeah, it's kinda scripted, the fight is kinda scripted, like you leave the Frostmourne room, you run to the edge, Wild Spirits are coming in, there you get soaked, Wild Spirits are spawning, you go to the other side, they're soaked, then you get Wild Spirits again, but they won't activate until after the Frostmourne. You will be getting, like, after this cast, these guys won't activate, so you can just stand planted below them and spam heal, because they don't activate until after the Harvest Soul is and the Frostmourne room is done. But a lot of the Lich King fight is like learning that how much you have to heal the tanks and minimizing downtime in whole lights. Like, you want to be getting them out constantly. And as you can see, my mana is 100% fine, because this downtime here is the best time to use Divine Plea and regen mana. So you have like a natural point where you get back a lot of mana. And it's about 1 minute 40 between the rooms, so you shouldn't be using Divine Plea outside of the rooms really. You need the healing output most of the time. Defile goes out, Spirit is still off tanked, Soul Reaper is going out, Wild Spirits are being soaked. And what we do here as well is that we have, you usually have 2 Wild Spirits, then the room, 2 Wild Spirits, then the room. So we have the Shadow Priest always take the first one, and then you have the Paladin, a Paladin backup for every second one. So the first one is taken by the Red Paladin, then the second backup is taken by Bray in this case, and the third backup is taken by me. And basically what you do is that you have to touch them, they run through the spirit bodies. Like, they are kinda annoying sometimes, but first they need to activate, and then they are running towards the raid, then you bubble and try to soak them as best as you can. And you can use stuns on them, you can use Holy Wrath on them, you can use a very nice tool which is Target Dummy, which makes them group up. They won't explode in Target Dummy, but it makes them easier to then run into when you're in bubble. And also if you have natural boost still, you haven't been targeted by a Defile, that makes it a lot easier to soak all of the spirits. Is there anything else important here? Not really. Like here, yeah, we killed the boss. What was the... Yeah, we killed the boss. What else is there to say? Yeah, I mean, the weak card I use here to have all our assignments is gonna be on my Discord. I mean, the MRT note. This is not a weak card. This is MRT note. Sorry for all rambling. Like, I had no script or anything when doing this. I just try to think about things on the fly. Which, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not the kind of guy that makes detailed videos or detailed guides with super fancy stuff. Hopefully there was something you could pick up in all this rambling I did. A lot of it is quite obvious. A lot of it might be things that doesn't work for you in your guild with your healing comp or with your strat that you use. But I think I got all my thoughts out about every boss. Might have missed something, and there also might be errors, like incorrect information about things. But that's how it's gonna be. It's how we have done it. Thanks for watching.